Shalom, real quick, giving all praise to Yahweh, Shem Shai, Shem Makakodah, Shalom to the 144,000 rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to title this video, The Circumcised, or the Uncircumcised. Let me say that again. The title is The Uncircumcised in the New Testament are now Gentiles, or the natural Gentiles. The circumcised or uncircumcised in the New Testament are now the natural Gentiles, according to Genesis. See, waxing worse and worse. So I just caught this. It says Christian apologist admits Moses gets you heaven plus Muslim confounded. So I believe this is it right here. It's a Jake that's a Muslim. You're wasting your time talking to a Muslim. You tell him quick he's Israelite. If he can't get it, you just let him go. They're gone. That's a heavy demon on him. So let's go ahead and just listen. I'm going to make this short.
To you, if you forgot that you read that in the very first verse.
If doesn't mean, does if mean impossible to do? Yes or no?
No.
Because the whole thing here is because the uncircumcision is natural.
This is fair use, fair use. I slowed it down as well. Oh, let me bring that back. You just said something about the natural Gentiles.
No.
Because the whole thing here is because the uncircumcision is natural Gentiles.
So the uncircumcision is natural Gentiles, are the natural Gentiles. Let me say it again. He's saying the uncircumcised in the New Testament are heathens, other nations, not Israelites. This is all I gotta go. I can close it right now. Listen to a little bit more, then I'm gonna go into some precepts, a precept or two. These guys are on a mission to confuse Jake. And once you get caught up in this mess, that's on you.
And he's telling the Jews that these natural Gentiles, if they keep the law, even though their penis makes them uncircumcised, their heart will be circumcised. And then and that's how the natural Gentiles are actually judging Israelites in this instance. Because you're supposed to be an Israelite, but you're a lawbreaker, even though you're circumcised in your penis. But then he tells these natural Gentiles, you're uncircumcised in your penis, but if you keep the righteousness of the law, your uncircumcision is now counted as circumcision, and he's not talking about the flesh, he's talking about the heart. So he's saying that the heart, the way it gets circumcised right now is by keeping the righteousness of the law, and you admit it was the Mosaic law.
Yeah, I don't got no problem. I don't know what you arguing about. So let me.
Oh wow, thank you. I appreciate it.
You kind of.
Okay, you know what? Let me do this. Matter of fact, I'll let it rip. Let me go to the blue letter. Let me put in. Is it on? Circumcised. Did I spell that right? Let me do it this way. 1 Corinthians 7. Circumcised, uncircumcised. Okay. Is any man called being circumcised, meaning you're an Israelite that was raised as an Israelite family. If you're a male born child, you're circumcised on the 8th day, physical circumcised.
Mic check, mic check.
Hold up, let me stop this.
Let me know if y'all can hear me. About to
Cut
get
this off. Where am I? If any man called being circumcised, meaning a Jew, an Israelite, let him not become uncircumcised. Uncircumcised represents if you come into this thing, you got to still keep the laws. If you're an Israelite that started with the laws, you got to still keep the laws. When the Apostle Paul pretty much said, don't let no man judge you concerning the law, he was talking to Israelites and the Gentile-minded Israelites coming into the fold, but that didn't apply to Israelites that knew that they were Israelites. If you keep the law, keep the law going, keep keeping the law. Is any called in uncircumcision, let him not be circumcised. So anybody called in uncircumcision would be, perfect example would be Cornelius, an Israelite that didn't know that he was an Israelite as a child, that grew up in a household that did not teach that they were Israelites. Now he found out he's an Israelite. That's why the angel came to him, Peter was sent to him. So Cornelius would be considered the uncircumcised. Timothy would be considered the uncircumcised, even though he grew up in a household that he knew his mother was an Israelite. Eunice and Lois, I always get their names mixed up. The grandmother, I believe Lois was the daughter and Eunice was the grandmother. His father was a Greek, meaning an Israelite. So wait a minute. So are you saying Genesis is that Timothy is an actual heathen? So let me go to the word uncircumcision. So this is what they're now teaching. That all the Gentiles in the New Testament are referring to other nations. Is any man called being circumcised, meaning you rose up as an Israelite family, let him not be uncircumcised. In other words, still keep the laws. Don't say, oh, I'm in the Messiah, I'm going to keep the laws. Is any called in uncircumcision, meaning the Israelite like Cornelius, let him not be circumcised. We're not going to put the burden of the law on you. You grow into this thing. You got to receive the Messiah. So let's click on this.
Strong's G203, Akrabustia.
Having the foreskin uncircumcised. They're really talking about if you don't know that you're an Israelite, Cornelius, a Gentile, supposed to be an Israelite, a condition in which the corrupt desires rooted in the flesh were not yet extinct, done away with. So let's go ahead and look at okay, it says uncircumcision 16 times. Uncircumcised 1 time. Okay, that's 20 times 17 verses, saying, thou wentest in to men uncircumcised, and dideth eat with them. Those men that were uncircumcised, that goes into Cornelius. Cornelius was an Israelite, and the men or his household were Israelites. Israelites that didn't accept the fact that they were Israelite. Perfect example is Timothy's father. Okay, let me read this one. Romans 2, verse 26. Therefore, if the uncircumcised keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? Let me open this up. Okay, it's right here. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision doeth transgress the law? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee? Now, when you read this whole chapter, Romans chapter 2, mainly, matter of fact, let me open this up. I believe the point is in 15. Really got to read from the top. Impartiality of the Most High. Go back to 14. Right, it says 13. For not the hearers of the Lord are just before the Most High, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles, these guys say that they're talking about the actual heathens, other nations. The Gentiles in the 14th verse are Israelites, like Cornelius. I keep saying Cornelius. Or Timothy's father, which was a Greek. He was an Israelite. Which have not when the Gentiles which have not the law, because they were not taught the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. There's certain things in Jake. I'm dealing with the Jake man. He knows being a man with another man is wrong. He knows that in his heart. That's why they got a thing called download. Now, Edomites will be open with it because they're not under the law. The law is in these Jake's heart. So when they do the down low thing, let me look up the word down low. They do it on a down low because they know it's wicked as hell. They just want to be wicked. So the law that's in their heart is telling them that's wrong. When you kill somebody, you know in your spirit that you're wrong. Esau killed somebody, he'll eat, no big deal, because the law is not in him. Let me look up the word down low. See, two Edomite men, they'll be open with that shit, because they don't have the law in their hearts. We've seen this a couple of times. We're speaking on the street, and there's two Jake men holding hands. Then when they get closer, they step away from each other because they say they see us, they see other Jakes, or they see Israel. But two Edomite men, they'll walk right by and say hi to you. They don't give a shit. That's why these niggas got to go. Okay, so let me look at the word down low. Edomites are not necessarily in the down low. Some of them are. Down low meaning. Not download. down low meaning. Let me try it this way. Down low men meaning. Look, there goes niggas. It's a nigga thing. You can see that these guys are moles. You can see that they are moles. You can look in their faces. He got a beard, brother. He a mo. You can see he's a mo. He's got a mo aura about him. Down low, DL. They call it DL. They on the DL. That's big in Atlanta. Men are heterosexuals, identifying men, often with the black community, who secretly engage in sexual activity with other men or black men, sometimes white men, keeping it hidden from partners, especially women. Now, I believe it's Atlanta and certain parts in Texas. Atlanta is one of them. There's a lot of not venereal disease, STIs, sexually transmitted infections. They used to call it sexual transmitted, disease, STDs. Now they call it STIs, sexually transmitted infections. And why? So you get with a woman. No, I never got with a man. You get with a woman. You getting with a woman that has a man that goes both ways. So she got the infection from him, and she passed it on to you. That's why you got to stay away from these sisters. These sisters ain't shit, man. These sisters ain't shit. You'd be better off with an Edomite woman that takes care of themselves, man. You know, that walks, that runs, that bikes. They always, them Edomite women that be in Whole Foods and shit, and Trader Joe's, and they go to these health things, and they got a nice body to them. They ain't gonna just let any man stick something up in her, cause she's concerned about diseases. They have their own doctors. You know, we don't have our own doctor. You know, Esau got, well, this is my doctor. Jake don't got their own doctor. This black bitch told me I went for a checkup. She said, what's your doctor? I said, I ain't got no. What you mean you ain't got no doctor? You supposed to have a doctor. Edomite women and Edomite men have doctors. Dr. Phil or Dr. Smith or whatever. And they'll do the checkout. Okay, I'll see you in 3 months, Brad. Okay, Bill. They come back at the checkup. You're in fine health. You know? Jake don't do that shit. So, you know, you'd be better off with an Edomite woman, but you got to check. You got to vet these women, man. Everyone, especially the sisters, you got to vet them. You got to vet them. So it says, keeping it hidden from partners, especially women. So she's like wondering why she got this disease, and then she'll go to her husband. I don't know what you're talking about, baby. Then eventually you find out that she got the disease from him. So I say in the past, I'm going to continue to say, fuck these niggas. Family or the public due to societal pressures. What do you mean by societal pressures? Meaning Jake ain't with that, man. They ain't with two Jake men getting with a man getting with. Hey, if this guy, Anthony Joshua, right? All the women were swooning over him. If he left the arena with his boyfriend, which is an Edomite, they'll turn off from him, man. Jake ain't into that because that's the law that's written in them. Okay, so these two magpies talking about the uncircumcised is talking about other nations. Societal pressures, homophobia, or desire to come, and they'll tell you, I ain't no mo, I ain't into that. Yes, you are, Negro. Conform to gender norms. Among Esau, Edomite father and mother, they'll have a son that becomes a happy person, and they're like, this is my son. No, but this one, he's gay, and my daughter, she's had a sex change operation. You know, and this is what they look like. They're proud of they brag. They'll show you this is when he was a boy, and now he's a girl. Jake don't do that shit. Cause why? Because they're Jake. So when you go back to Romans chapter 2, verse 13, 14, 15 is saying that Jake knows the law in their heart, even if you don't teach them. It can also broadly refer to any discrete activity or relationship, but most commonly describe this specific hidden sexual behavior, sometimes leading to health concerns like HIV transmission to unsuspected female partners. So you get with a chick, she lies to you, she ain't got a man, you get with it, you wonder why you got the disease. The disease come from her, you track it down to her, it's tracked, and she might not even know. Then it's tracked back to him, but he's going to deny it because he's down low. Let me read this again. You see two guys looking like this, that look, that glaze of happy. Look, this nigga, you look happy, man. You look happy. That look in your eyes. As the apostle records, that twinkle in your eyes, inside joke, down low, DL. Men, not men, black men. Men are, and Latino men, the tribes, are heterosexual. They go both ways, identifying men often within the black community. All right? Because that's not accepted. When this demon, Obama, pushed that gay agenda, the church wasn't with that. He figured he can get over. We ain't with that, man. But we know about my man. We know about him. All right? So anyway, let's come on back to the scriptures. Let me bring it back over here. Okay, so anytime you see uncircumcised, it's talking about Israelites in the Gentile state of mind, grew up in a Gentile household. Romans 3 verse 30, seeing it is one power which shall justify the circumcision, the Israelites that grew up as Israelites by faith, and uncircumcision, the Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites, coming back into the fold through faith. All right? Romans 4 verse 9. Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision, the Israelites that know that they were Israelites only, or upon the uncircumcision. Who are the uncircumcision? The Israelites that grew up in a household that were not Israelites. Also, for we say that faith was reckoned through Abraham for righteousness. Romans 4 and 10. How was it then reckoned when he was in circumcision? Who was in circumcision? Abraham. Or in uncircumcision, not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. Let me read that again. How was it then reckoned when he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. In other words, he had the faith before the Most High made the covenant of circumcision. He had the faith. He was accounted righteous, before he got circumcised. So these Gentiles, these uncircumcisions, were Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites, that wasn't brought up in the Israelite family, like most of y'all. Most of y'all, you come into the truth, I got to make a doctor's appointment. How do I go about getting circumcision? Because you wasn't circumcised in your household. I was circumcised as a baby. Okay, Romans 11. This is beautiful. Romans is a heavy book, man. Heavy letter. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of the faith It's not just about getting circumcised and wearing fringes. He is not a Jew that is one outwardly, but is one inwardly, meaning you can't put the fringes on and the phylacteries and circumcise yourself. You got to be an Israelite inside. Okay, of faith which he had, yet being uncircumcised. This got to be talking about Abraham. That he might be the father of all them that believe. Who is it talking about? Abraham. That he, Abraham, might be the father of all them that believe. Who's the all them that believed? Israelites, among the circumcision and the uncircumcision. The uncircumcisions are Israelites like Cornelius. Though they be not circumcised. Remember, Timothy was in the faith before he became circumcised, and he became circumcised. Titus never became circumcised. That righteousness, this is what Acts 15 is all about, might be imputed unto them also. So I don't got to read no more. Oh, and Paul was talking to was dealing with the church up in Corinth. The majority of them were what? They came out. They were Hellenized. That's why I had to keep cursing them out, because they were Hellenized. They were following the long hair. The fact that they had men with long hair, that was the Hellenization of those jakes. So he said, no, we don't do that here. We don't. Men don't have long hair. Women's supposed to have long hair. So anyway, let's come back and let's listen to a little bit more, and then we'll close it. Yeah, these dudes are done. They're not going to make it. They're not of the elect, and they're gonna either eat a missile or choke on a chicken bone. But they're not going to make it. You know, there's no coming back. He's not even wearing fringes no more.
This started. Ping, 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 ping. Ping, 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 ping.
And everybody that's sitting around them are Edomites.
All right, y'all. Let me share this on the book face. Hey, look, man, you see the spirit ain't with these guys. This is the pause. Got these long pauses. It's been a long time. Where's
the spirit is totally out of these guys. The spirit is totally out of these guys.
Where's my brother Yuanathon?
These guys don't even call on Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai no more. Spirit, the Most High just totally took the spirit from them. Just like Tazadakia. You know, you can clearly see that these guys were set up, man. Anyway, Shalom, on to the next.